Hello, good morning, everyone. New month, new day, new beginning. It is November 1st. Wow. I have to first say, yesterday's show was completely amazing. I was expecting resistance when I started the show, and I know I was going to get resistance, but I prayed upon it that it wouldn't be an attack personally. I think what ended up happening yesterday was such a strong, powerful dialogue. It brought together people from so many different perspectives, and we were actually able to talk, communicate, discuss, give opinions. Some people, some may have been slightly judgmental, which they left right away, but others who actually stayed for the show, who actually participated in the show, it was absolutely wonderful. Now, there was somebody that said that they wanted me to share this out. I still don't know that concept of how to share this out. So I'm hoping, they said just press share, but with the arrow, and I tried that, so I'm not too sure if it actually shared this live out or not. But if it didn't share it out, oh well, hopefully they will see it when it does pop up. A couple of key concepts from yesterday. Well, actually, first, let me backtrack before I get to this. Let me start off with a prayer, because I think it's always important to pray upon something. And then I'm going to go into some really good news. So, I got to get used to saying the verbal things. So, grant me the clarity and wisdom, understanding the words that are put before me. Allow me the strength to understand what your wisdoms and teachings is supposed to tell me. Allow me the strength to handle any opposition from the audience. And I'm trying to do a new prayer. This is hard for me. Allow me the strength to read your word and to communicate with the audience, that we may do it lovingly, peacefully, and in a way that touches everybody's heart. I want to understand these verses as you have written them and as you intended them to be. And I am thankful for all your help and all your guidance. Amen. Okay, so maybe that's not the best prayer. I will admit that. Praying for me is very hard. And I've always prayed internally, never verbally. And that's something that someone said, that's a great way to communicate, which I'm learning. And because if not, this would just be a moment of silence, me bowing my head, thinking the words. And it always made me wonder, what is better with the conversation when you're having with God? Is it better to speak the words, or is it better to think the words? Speaking almost puts two actions to it. It not only puts your intentions into it, it actually puts the voice with sound, with frequencies. I mean, one of the things, particularly in Genesis, it talks about that when God speaks, you hear him. You can hear his words. It's not that God is speaking in your mind. You can literally hear the words he says. So I guess that's why it's important to pray out loud as opposed to praying within. So now that I said a prayer, I want to bless this reading and bless the show. I want to talk about yesterday and hello everyone, welcome to the show. Yesterday's show for me was so impactful. I was afraid that I was going to get opposition, and I knew I was going to get opposition. I mean, it was Halloween, and I'm dressing up as a zombie reading the Bible. A lot of people could say that's devil worshipping, that's sacrilegious, that's evil. Excuse me, I'm choking today. I believe, and maybe I can be corrected on this. I believe that everything has an intention. Everything has a meaning behind it. And if you intend negativity on something compared to negativity on the positive, then it could change what it is. I mean, I want to give an example, and I know it's going to be a very controversial example, but it's something that if you think about it, it's kind of interesting. We have a building here in the city. And on the building, and this is kind of ironic, I actually had to go look at it because I never knew about this building until I saw it on YouTube, that somebody made mention of it. So I visited this building, and it's this beautiful ornate building, and it has swastikas engraved on the stone marble against the building. Now, we all know what that is in line with. However, that wasn't the case originally. And I'm not trying to defend what happened in World War. I'm not. What I'm saying is that building was erected way before the World War happened. Okay? And that was actually a peace symbol throughout the generations. It was a sign of peace. It's a building that's dedicated to the Native Americans, and it has that particular symbol engraved all over the outside facade. And like I said, I never noticed it. Until you actually go to this building, which was created before the whole World War thing. And it's like you took a symbol of peace, of joy. And that symbol is found throughout history. You're going to see it in Japanese culture, Chinese culture. And I'm not trying to promote Buddhism or anything like that, but you're going to see that symbol in so many different cultures because the intention of that symbol always was one of peace, love, and protection. Now, because of the atrocities, what happened during the war, that symbol became a sign of hatred, became a sign of killing off, massacre of millions of people. And it became such a sign of hatred. So it makes me wonder, when things are intended for one thing, but somebody else makes the intention something else. So where this is leading to yesterday, I talk about this because yesterday, yes, I dressed up as a zombie. It was Halloween. I'm reading the Bible. I had plans the whole day. We had an amazing time yesterday. We really did. In fact, we went live last night, and I completely messed up because I have no idea how to invite people. And I meant to invite a friend to come up on me as a co-host. I completely invited a random stranger to come up, and they actually came up, dressed up. It was scary as anything. In fact, Chris was like, "Who is this guy? He's creeping me out." But at least the guy finally left. We had a little battle or something like that. But the point I'm trying to say is, I believe everything has intentions. And when it comes to the point where one person's intention conflicts with another person's intention, it becomes a moral guide of who's right or who's wrong. Do I diminish my intentions because somebody else is offended? Or does the offend, you know what I mean? And it goes back and forth. And I think that's the reason why there's so much hatred, divide. And like I said, I just gave 2 examples. And I wasn't trying to promote anything. It's just, I thought that would be like the ultimate litmus test. Is that when people see that particular symbol, and the symbol I'm talking about, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but the swastika. When people see that particular symbol, immediately they go in one direction due to one man's actions, due to the atrocities that happened but then when you look at the history of that, and the only reason I mention it is because, like I said, there's a building that was erected way before the war. And that building has those symbols all over the building, carved into the marble stone. And I just thought it was interesting that they never erased history. They never covered it up, because that was an homage, an honoring of the natives of this area, because the area that I'm in is highly rooted in Native American culture. So I guess, like I said, so my intention yesterday, and that's why I'm talking about intentions, my intention yesterday had nothing to do with evilness, with spreading mockery, with spreading. My intentions really was that for one day of the year, I could dress up, wear a little makeup. I thought I did. I mean, somebody said it was going to scare the kids. I thought it was going to be in a fun way. I had in fact, when I was here originally, I didn't even have my hat on. I had a hat and everything, and the kids loved it. We had some trick-or-treaters, we did the event, we carved pumpkins, and we just had a good time. So I don't see that as evil. People may disagree with me, and something, that's fine. I mean, everybody has their right to their own opinion. However, what stemmed from yesterday's show, I am completely shocked. The conversations that we had yesterday, the dialogue, the back and forth, the questions. I mean, okay, first thing, I have an entire list of verses that I'm going to key into when I get there. Because remember, for those of you who've been keeping up with me, I do have a rule. I will go backwards if someone gives me a verse. So right now I'm on Exodus 16. That's only a book and a half in. That's all. And in a book and a half already, there is a wealth of information that is just so unbelievable. So we're only a book and a half in. So my rule is, if someone makes reference to a verse, I will only go backwards. If they make reference to a verse ahead in the Bible, I will write it down and I will highlight it and put a little description of why I need to focus on that, simply because I want to read this. This is the first time I'm reading it. I'm not here preaching as a know-it-all. I'm not here preaching or teaching. I'm here reading the Bible, learning for the first time, seeing what the words, meanings, and what they do pop up. Now, yesterday, I do have to say this, for those of you who are following me, Chris got the job. Chris got the job. It is a blessing. There's one little thing he has to do before it's finalized, but he got the job. And in fact, he's doing that right now. That's why, if you notice, different angle, different room. I have my office. It has my computer set up and everything like that. That's where I normally read the Bible. And that's where the cats usually jump up, because the cats stay in my office. We have 3 dogs and 3 cats. 2 of the dogs, they're okay with the cats. I say okay. The cats still fight with them and smack them around. One dog, we are very nervous that that dog will hurt the cats, because the dog in the past has been a known cat killer. So we don't want to mix the dogs together. So pretty much the cats stay in my room the whole time. They have things that they could climb up. They could have fun. They have their litter box and everything. Plus, I'm in there every day. So the cats get to see me every day. Chris is like, the cats are going to drive me crazy. But he's in there right now because he has to take some continuing education classes in order to finalize the deal, which is fine. I mean, he's fine with that. He's going to be doing it all weekend. I says, something, you go take your classes. I'm going to go online. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to hang out with the folks out there and just have a good time. But this is a game changer for us because he got the promotion. And the thing about this particular promotion is it wasn't 1 step, it's 2 steps above. I mean, he got a big promotion. And the only thing is, with his company, in order for him to get to that level that he is, he has to go for all the training in the step 2 that he skipped over. So pretty much he's at the computer right now doing those boring training classes, blah, 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 for the step 2. It's probably going to take him the whole weekend. It may even go into Monday or Tuesday. I mean, that's how in-depth, it's hours upon hours of training. But as soon as he finishes that training, his boss signs up. Would anyone like to, wait, what does it say? Would anyone like to support my ministry and send King James Version Bibles? I have a link in my bio. Okay, that's the case. If anybody wants to do it, you could contact Ann. Thank you so much for that. I don't know Ann, but welcome to the show. And you could contact Ann personally on that. So he's going for his training. And then once he completely finishes all the training, all the courses and all that, they're going to sign him off. And he got promoted. I'm so excited about him. So I can't tell you, that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I'm smiling, because right now I am just shocked at all the blessings that are happening. I mean, I will tell you this, like, before I met Chris, my life was so far down at the bottom that I guarantee if Chris wasn't in my life, I wouldn't have a life right now. I'm serious, and I say that to Chris. ironically, Chris said almost the same thing, but from his perspective. But I mean, I really believe, and that's why I believe that this was divine intervention that we met each other, because I said, Chris, if I continued down the path I was going before I met you, I would be in a grave right now. I probably wouldn't even be in a grave. I would probably be cremated to dust. But you know what I mean? That's how much my life has changed. And one of the things, and I get this many times, I'm going to get this time and time again. I get all the people, all the trolls that come in, talk about gluttony, talk about my weight, talk about my physical appearance. But you know something? That is a journey for me, because I know I'm taking the steps I need to gain back my health, my confidence, my stamina, my flexibility. So I know for a fact that in my journey, I'm doing an entire journey of mind, body, spirit. I really am. And I think it's so important that I do this. And the fact, and I was talking about him with this about the last night, because I did have my light bulb moment yesterday. Guys, as silly as this seems, when I was talking it out with you guys, and I gave that scenario where this is the roadmap, and I'm at the wheel. Not that, I know they tease and say Jesus is at the wheel. No. I am at the wheel. Chris is my passenger, because he's not making the decision. Jesus is not at the wheel. Where Jesus is he is the roadmap, and he is the road signs along the way. Because I have the conscious choice to go any direction that I want to go in. Jesus, the Lord, God, any terminology, I'm still confused with honorifics. I'll admit that. At this point in the Bible reading, I haven't even met Jesus yet. I know who Jesus is outside, but if I'm going straight by the Bible, haven't met Jesus yet. But the reasons why I say where they say Jesus takes the wheel, I almost disagree with that, because like I said, if that's the case, then Jesus is the one that's making the choices, doing that. No, he gave me the freedom. God gave me the freedom to choose, to decide what path I want to take. He will give me signs. He will give me wonders. He will give me directions. He will be there. He will be the gas station that I come in to refuel. That is where God comes in, where Jesus comes in. That's where he is on my journey. And I told this to Chris, and he just smiled and was like, bingo! And I looked at him and I'm like, that seriously is my light bulb moment. And Chris is like, so bingo. So Chris's response, he's like, keep reading, keep going. He's like, you got it. The answers are all here. All right, it took. I'm currently we're on day 18. So I gotta write that down. So we're on day 18. And we are going to go back on Exodus chapter 16, because even though yesterday's show was 3 hours long, we started chapter 16, we only read the first 4 verses. So I'm just going to restart 16, because like I said, yesterday's show was so impactful and powerful, and the light bulbs that went on in my head in so many different directions. So it's making me so passionate about this. And like I said, for those of you who are new, this is the first time I'm reading the Bible. I have never read the Bible from cover to cover. And the fact that I'm smiling, I'm joyful. I mean, all right, I'll be honest. Okay, this is the I'm going to say envious thing. I still have not aligned myself with a specific religion. I will say that. Right now, my path is my own personal way. My family was Catholic. My father's side was Catholic. My mother's side was born again. Chris is Pentecostal. When I say born again, it was a mixture because they did a couple of things. My family did Pentecostal Baptist. They were like bouncing around from different ideologies, but Chris is Pentecostal, my father. So I have this interesting perspective from different sides. This is the first time I'm reading it. I'm not necessarily aligning myself with a religion yet. I say yet because I'm still trying to find my path. But I was always envious, but at the same time angry when I saw certain Christians. I say certain because a lot of times my experience with Christians are they're very backstabbing, they're very vindictive, they're very self-centered, and they're very, this is like my cliquish. Okay? I'm sorry for Christians out there. I'm not trying to offend you. That's my experience when I dealt, and I'm not saying, I'm not condemning an entire religion based on a few people. I'm condemning those particular people who act that way. But then at the same time, I also saw that there is always this passion and glow and smile. And I mean, I never understood when people would come up to me and just constantly be like, I'm going to pray for you in Jesus' name. And they would constantly just throw out that type of everything revolves around Jesus. I'm still confused about that now. I will be honest. And I even say that to Chris. I'm like, why is it always about Jesus? And I mean, they'll go into the whole story. He died for our sins, his gift to humanity. I mean, there's so many different, basically the whole resurrection story. I understand that. But it's like, why get into the mindset that everything revolves strictly around Jesus? That's the disconnect I have. And you know something, maybe as I go along, that light bulb moment will come in. It's not there at this time. However, I always wanted that joy, that passion, that glow that those people exhibited. And I never understood how. And part of me is thinking, maybe that's what I'm exhibiting now. Maybe that's where my light is coming from. Because, okay, my name, Melanie Lightbeam, I've always felt that there's light in a world of darkness. So I've always been named Light because everybody says I'm the type of person that can brighten up a room, that can make people happy, that can be very personable, very caring. I mean, I'm the type that if I'm walking around, people will just come to me because they feel like that I'm some sort of light, and they'll come to ask me questions. They'll talk about their life. I mean, complete strangers just love, like, I'm the light that, like, attracts people. I've never really been passionate about anything, but I am so passionate about reading this, and I'm really feeling like I need to read this, and this is a quest that I need to do. So I think I said enough. I've been blabbering on this morning. I guess because I was just really so happy about yesterday's show. Yesterday's show was just amazing. And not only was it amazing, I had so many likes. I had so many gifts. I never really received. I mean, I received gifts here and there. I was actually flooded with gifts, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you so much for those who did it. I also received a lot of followers. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you, guys. So let's do this. This is now day 18, and we're doing Exodus chapter 16. Now, from this point, we are talking about the freeing of the Israelites from Egypt. It's the story of Moses. We already had the parting of the Red Sea. We already had the plagues and the miracles. We already had the signs. So now they've already crossed past the Red Sea. They are still marching on. We had Passover, the discovery of Passover and stuff like that. So a lot has been going on. Now, part of me, and I know I mentioned this yesterday, this is a undertone that I keep feeling, is that the Lord has very, very specific rituals, customs, sacrifices that he wants in order to create a covenant with the Lord. Okay? And I almost want to say some of these things that he requests are a little sinister or dark in nature. Not that they're evil, but it's just, I really am getting this moment that I feel like there's going to be a change within the Lord for the good. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm waiting for that moment where there's a change for the good. Because, and I even said this to Chris, and he's like, he said to me, he's like, well, God is all loving. I'm like, yes, I agree, God is all loving. I says, but how they describe the Lord? And he's like, but the Lord is God. So I'm like, okay, if the Lord is God, because I'm still thinking it's too deep, if the Lord is God, then God is not all loving, because God is doing some really negative things. Even though he's doing positive things for some people, he's doing very negative things for others. And from my perspective, and please forgive me if this is not what your belief is, my belief is that God, who is the creator, should love everybody, no matter what belief system they are, no matter what, because we are all his children. And there is that understanding that sometimes your children may go their own path and may go the other way. But are you going to kill them and hate them and ostracize them and be vindictive against your children simply because they chose to walk away? That's why I have a little problem with how they describe the Lord. And so far, God, with the exception of Noah's flood, because like I said, from my perspective, and I put this theory out, I'm going to stick by that theory until I get a definitive light bulb moment. Somebody did say to me that I am going to be reading that light bulb moment later on, but until I get there, as of right now, I am feeling like there's a disconnect between God and Lord, that they're two separate beings. And I believe that they are going to come together through the birth of Jesus, and that's where the Trinity is going to come into play. I could be wrong, but like I said, I'm still not happy, personally, with the actions of the Lord as described. I'm happy with the actions of God. I'm not happy with how the Lord is being described. Because so far, the Lord has been doling out lots of punishments, lots of consequences, lots of the Lord was the one that created multiple languages. He specifically said, let's confuse the people. Why would you want to confuse the people? I mean, that's just, it bothers me. But anyway, we are up to chapter 16. And in chapter 16, up until this point, like I said, Moses has already parted the Red Sea. They are on their pilgrimage to wherever they're going, out of Egypt. And what they're supposed to be doing is that great feast for the Lord, to honor the Lord. Good morning, Angel. How are you today? Hope things are well. Thank you for joining. I've just been blabbering for a little bit. We're going to start once again on chapter 16. I know I went 4 verses yesterday, but I figured since I only went 4 verses, let me just start reading again, because we really didn't get far in 16. But we're going to do chapter 16. And let me stop and see where we go. Okay, so chapter 16 of Exodus. And they took their journey from Elim, and the congregation of the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. So now, I think this is important because once again, we are establishing a new time structure. Okay, and I say that very, very carefully, because in the beginning in Genesis, my question was time defined exactly how time is defined now? Because the reason I said that was back then, you had the average age was 900 years. But then, after a certain point, and that was the point of Israel, where he appointed Israel, the Lord reduced the age of man down to 125 years. So he reduced the timeline from like an average of 900 years to 125 years. And he said that he's no longer going to walk as frequently among men. So it's almost as if with Jesus being among, I'm sorry, not Jesus. We didn't get to Jesus yet. I'm sorry. With the Lord being among men, it created a longer timeline, time span for humans. Whereas when he said that he's going to pull away a little bit, it now lowered it to about 125 years. Now we're actually creating months and days. And that was through the Passover feast, because they're saying that this is going to be the first of the new year. So we're creating another timeline, which is interesting. So that's just an extra point. Okay. The whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to full, for ye have brought us into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. I'm going to stop right there, because now this is, I still see it over and over and over again. People keep telling me it's one and the same, but every time I read this, I'm still seeing that disconnect between the Lord and God. Let me just read that. The children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord. So they're asking, would God, had we died by the hand of the Lord who's actually intervening with us, when we, in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us into the wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. So basically they're saying, would God actually have killed us by his hand if we ate the bread that the Lord told us not to eat, that we would be dying of hunger? Because remember, one of the things that the Lord, and that's why I said the Lord has this like dark undertone, but one of the things the Lord said is, do not eat leavened bread. You're going to be eating unleavened bread, which made sense for a couple of reasons. One was a time factor, because it takes time for yeast to rise. Two, it was a weight factor. They are going to be traveling long distances. They're not going to be able to be carrying big loaves of bread. Three, it was his command. You're not to be eating leavened bread with yeast. Four, just look at the process of how you make bread. You use yeast. Yeast, which is a living organism, which helps chemically respond to the bread to create it into something. So, just an interesting little thing. It's like you're using a live substance to create something else. I mean, those are different things that how I looked at it when it comes to the unleavened bread. But that to me, and I mean, like I said, guys, I'm not trying to say that religion is wrong. I'm not trying to say attitude is wrong. I'm reading this and I ask every single time for clarity and wisdom. And as of right now, and I'm waiting for that other light bulb moment, I'm really starting to believe that the Lord is the spiritual Son of God. And it isn't until he takes his only Son, which is the spiritual Lord, and makes him into Jesus so that he can understand, not from the spiritual end, but from the flesh end, from the human end, that he is the Son of God. And it's Jesus' choice as he walks among land in the flesh. And he realizes it at the point that he is crucified. At the point he understands everything. He understands the faults and this and that, the sins of man. He understands what man goes through, that he gives himself over to us and then resurrects, returns back to his spiritual ascension form. And that's how I'm taking this, because I'm not understanding why when they describe God and describe Lord, it's two different things. And I know everybody keeps saying you're getting too caught up by the terms. Lord equals God. God equals Lord. It bothers me though, because then if that is the case, then I almost want to feel like God is completely schizophrenic. And dare I say that? Because just the differences of how the Lord acts compared to how God acts. It is extreme differences. And I don't see how the answer can't be that for the time being, they are two separate beings. Two separate beings being that one is the Father and one is the Son. And that makes so much sense because it brings the Trinity together. That's the path that I'm seeing. And I mean, people could tell me that I'm blind, but even here, the children of Israel are literally asking. They're like, would God have let us die by the hand of the Lord? Why would they ask us that? Why would they separate that? Why wouldn't they just say, would your Lord have killed us all? Or would God have killed us all? No, they're literally saying, would God have let us die by the hand of the Lord? Which means to me, there's two different things. So I want to highlight that. So that is Exodus 16:3. It makes once again the reference to God versus the Lord. Would God let us die at the Lord's hand? I know I feel, guys, I feel this strongly. And so many people are saying you're wrong. Even Chris is telling me I'm wrong. He's looking at me, he's like, you're getting too caught up in the terminology. They're one and the same. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's my theory, and I'm not up to that point yet. My theory is that at the point of the resurrection, that's when they become one and the same, because he ascended up, realizing the sins of the flesh. But as he's described back in the Old Testament, the Lord is so much different than what God is. I mean, personally, and I mean, I'm going to say this, just based on how the Lord is being described in the Old Testament up to the point of Exodus, this is someone I personally would never choose to follow. And I know that sounds evil. I would follow God. The way they describe God, I would absolutely follow him. The way they're describing the Lord and some of his tenets and some of his... Now, we didn't get up to the Ten Commandments yet. We're just about to get to the Ten Commandments. I know it's going to happen within the next couple of chapters. I want to see if there, once again, is there back and forth dialogue between who they call God and who they call Lord. Maybe, you know something, maybe the point of the Ten Commandments, that's the point it comes together. I don't know, but right now, it's still... But let me get to it, because like I said, guys, this is just me reading it step by step. But I'm going to read that one more time, because I'm still thinking two separate people. The children of Israel said unto them, would God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. So basically they're at the point right now where they're starving and they're hungry. They're still walking, they're still marching, they're trying to get to their destination. The people are hungry. So now let's see what happened. The Lord said unto Moses, so now Lord is talking, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them, whether they walk in my law or not. Okay, interesting. I want to stop here too. Okay, so now the first concept, and I'm going to point out the word heaven. As of right now, heaven has only been defined in one way. It may be defined later on. And that's why I stopped, because at this point, heaven was never defined as... Wait, Donnie's co-host? Oh, okay, I'm going to decline that. All right. Sorry, guys. I was being invited. I don't understand. If Dottie is in this chat, just right, because I get these invites to co-host with people, and I don't know if it's just a random invite or are they legitimately part of the show. So if Dottie, if you're in here, just send a message. I really don't understand TikTok when it comes to invites and stuff like that. But anyway, up until this point, there has been one definition of heaven. And what that is back in Genesis, God created a firmament that separated the waters from above, the waters from below, and he called that heaven. So heaven, up until this point, is simply defined as the firmament that is covering the earth, making that little air bubble separating from the waters above and the waters below. But now it's saying here, and we still don't have a definition of heaven, it says, I will rain bread from heaven onto you. Now that would still make sense. If heaven is this dome covering the earth, he's going to make it rain bread because these are starving people. They're marching in the wilderness. They just got out of Egypt. They are starving. There's hundreds of thousands. I mean, I'll be honest, when I thought of the Moses story, I thought it was only going to be a couple of hundred people. I'm thinking that he's marching with like maybe 300 people, 400 people. No, he's marching with like 300,000 people. He is marching with an entire city of people. And that's why I was shocked when they gave a number. I'm like, what? That many people is marching out of Egypt? I'm just thinking it's this little small amount of people that he's freeing. No, he's freeing a massive city, which almost makes me wonder, why did he even bother taking them out of Egypt? Why didn't he just band them together to overthrow the Pharaoh? That's just a question. I don't know. But obviously he wanted them out of Egypt. So now they're out of Egypt. They're starving. They're in the wilderness. They're asking God, if God, are we going to die by the hand of the Lord? Which is why I find that weird. So now they're talking to the Lord. They're not talking to God. They're talking to the Lord now. And the Lord is saying, I am going to make it rain down from heaven bread for you. And he's also saying, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate, that I may prove to them whether they walk in my law or not. Interesting. So now all these people, you're getting a melting of, they are Hebrews, they are Israelites. They did participate in the Passover by putting the blood, and he passed over them. So now all these people are being free. Just because you participated in the Passover doesn't necessarily mean that you walk with them. So they probably may have a differencing of opinion. Maybe there are some people mixed in that group of people that still believe in the old gods of Egypt, which I would love to learn more about those gods too, or the other gods that are going on, but I'm only going by what the Bible is saying. Bible is acknowledging that there's other gods, but they're not really going into detail about that. But anyway, so he's saying whether they walk in my law or not. So he's acknowledging that even among the people that he's freeing, there are some there that may not agree with my law, meaning the Lord's law. However, he's still going to prove to them through the miracle of raining bread that he is the Lord. So that's going to be interesting. So he's still trying to convince these people of his power. Why is he trying so hard? I almost want to say that. Why is he trying so hard to convince these people of his power? Should it not been enough just to show them? I mean, he literally went through 10 different signs and plagues just to get him to follow the Passover. Now, they're still on the fence and he's still going to give them more signs and wonders, and he's still going to give them more miracles. But like I said, it's making me wonder with every time I read this and they separate the Lord and God, that it's two different beings. Let's go on. Let's see what happens. And we are on chapter 16, verse 5. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. Okay, so basically this is where the miracle is coming in. He says, go out, gather up whatever amount that you're gathering up, and whatever you gather up, he's going to double it That's where the miracle is going to be. He's going to double whatever it is that they do. And Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, at even then ye shall know that the Lord had brought you out of the land of Egypt. Not God, the Lord had brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for they hear your murmurings against the Lord, and that we are, ye murmur against us. Okay, let me see that again. In the morning, then ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmurings against the Lord. Okay, he heard that you were talking against them. And what we are, ye murmur against us. So basically he's saying, look, the Lord is going to prove it. He heard that you were murmuring. Here's another question. Just a question. Right now, Moses and Aaron are both the conduit of information of the Lord. He's giving those two individuals the signs and wonders to communicate to the rest of the people. He's doing these miracles through them. This is just a question. Why didn't he just do it with every single person? Like, why only use two people? Why wouldn't he just have the same message and same conversation that he's having with Moses and Aaron? Why didn't he just have them with each and every one of those people? Whether it's an eternal dollar. I mean, that's stuff that I question, that I wonder. Or is that the blind faith reaction that the Lord wants? Because I almost feel like he's wanting praise, even though he's showing it, but he's showing it in such a way that can make somebody disbelieve. I mean, maybe I'm too analytical and I'm too much like proof based. With me, I want to witness something. I want to see something. I want to understand something. I want to pick it apart. And you can look at this from a cynical point of view and saying, okay, basically these two guys are saying, leave Egypt, leave the safety of your comfort of your home, go off into the desert where you're basically going to starve, but don't worry, the Lord is going to help you. From that perspective, it's like, what are these guys, crazy? And I can see where the doubt is on the Israelite side. They're like, is he crazy? But I guess that's the test that the Lord is giving, to see, can you follow blindly without your own personal witnessing, I guess, your own personal proof. He's going to give them proof, but he's giving them proof through Moses and through Aaron. He's not giving them proof directly. That's where I'm getting at. Okay, we are on chapter 16:8. And Moses said, this shall be, when the Lord shall give you in evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for that the Lord hear your murmurings, which ye murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord. Okay, so they're saying, when you tell us, when you complain about what we're telling, there's Moses and Aaron. He's telling the people, look, when you complain about and offer these doubts, you're not complaining to us. You're actually complaining against the Lord. We may be man here, but you are complaining against him. Your murmurings are in direct violation against him. So let's see what they say. And Moses spake unto Aaron, say unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before the Lord, for he had heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in a cloud. Okay, so that's the witnessing part. That I'm actually glad on that part. I'm going to stop right here. So basically, you have 300,000 people. Aaron is being told by the Lord, go speak to your children and tell them to come forth. Come here. So this is my assumption. He's going out. He's like, okay, the children of Israel, the Lord is saying, come here, gather up, and let's listen. I'm going to guess not everybody went. That's my guess. Some people went. Those people that went, they witnessed the Lord in a cloud. So let's see what happens with that. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak unto them, saying, at even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God. I'm just stopping there because once again, it's that slight terminology. Now I understand things can get mistranslated, this and that, but why wouldn't he say, I am the Lord God? He's saying, no, I am the Lord your God. That's a slight distinction. It really is. It's a minuscule distinction. And that's why I'm saying that God is a different person than the Lord. Plus, there's also other gods in the picture to begin with. So he's acknowledging, I am the God over you guys. I might not be the God over this group, or this group. He certainly wasn't the God over Egypt and Pharaohs. They believed in a totally different God, which we don't know who they believed in. We simply know that they believed in another God, somebody different than the Lord. So the Lord is saying, I am the Lord your God. And it came to pass that even the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew laid round about the host. And when the dew that laid was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. What is a hoarfrost? Hoar, or hourfrost? Frost. I don't know what that is. I'm going to just turn to the Layman's Bible real quick, just to see if there's a meaning of that. We're on 16, chapter 14, verse 14. 16:14. I'm just going to see what it says here. It says, when the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as a frost blanketed okay. So it's basically some sort of white residue, a flaky substance. But why would it say a small round thing? This one is not talking about a small round thing. It says, when the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as a frost blanket the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw this and said, what is this? Okay, so now that's two. I'm going to check one more Bible. I'm going to check the NIV Bible, because I'm reading the King James. I put it into layman's terms. That just bothers me what this small round thing is. We are on chapter 16. Exodus chapter 16. What did I say? Verse 16, right? No, I forgot what verse I'm on. Hold on. I've spoken a minute, and it came to pass the quails. Chapter 14. I'm sorry, verse 16, chapter 14. 16:14. 16:14. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. Okay, so that's, okay, that right there, I'm just going to highlight that chapter. So chapter 16, so we're on Exodus 16:14. And the reason I'm highlighting it is saying that there is a small round thing. Okay, but the other books are not talking about a small round thing. They're just talking about frost on the ground. So I'm curious what the small round thing is in the King James Version. All right, so that's just something I'm going to highlight. I'm going to research that a little. I have 3 more different Bibles. They're inside. I don't want to bother Chris. But I want to see what they talk about with this small round thing. Because obviously there's some small round thing in one Bible, but it's not in the other things. And like I said, they're just using vague terms. A small round thing. Okay, what is the small round thing? Is it a rock? Is it a stone? Is it something from... But maybe it'll clarify when we get ahead. Let's see. Okay, and when the dew was laid on the ground, behold, in the face of wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, it is manna. For they whilst not for they did not manna, it's manna. Okay. I definitely need to know the definition of mana, because all I can think of mana is money from like tokens, coins, mana, power, Magic the Gathering, mana with the cards. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. But interesting, it is mana, for they did not know what it was. And Moses said unto them, this is the bread which the Lord had given you to eat. Okay, so wait a minute. So is manna a type of bread? Okay, is it bread? Is it money? Is it a token? Or is it just like a sign in this, like some sort of sign that bread is to follow? Manna. I gotta look up the word manna. But okay. It is manna, for they did not know what it was. And Moses said unto them, this is the bread which the Lord had given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord had commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating. In omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in the tents. Now, I don't know what omer is. So here's another word I need to find. O-M-E-R, omer. Gather it for every man according to his eating. In omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tent. I'm assuming they're trying to say, take the amount of manna, the amount of bread, which will be sufficient for every single man. I am going to go to 16:16 and see what the NIV says, and then I'm going to go to Layman's Bible. 16:16. Moses said unto them, it is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much bread as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. Omer is still not being defined. 16:16. Layman's terms. It is the food that the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts. 2 quarts. For each person in your tent. Okay, so, good question. Is an omer equivalent to a quart? 2 quarts? So, omer is a unit of measurement. I'm going to have to look that up. That's something I'm going to need to take a look. Because I don't know what an omer is. O-M-E-R. I'm going to assume it's a unit of measurement. But I want to see exactly what the measurement is. Because there's also an interesting thing. Earlier, there was a measurement mentioned in the Bible. Cubits. And cubits are determined from the elbow to the fingers. That is a cubit. In nowadays, that is approximately 18 inches. So when they say something is 1 cubit, it's 18 inches. However, if you are a giant and you are much bigger than what we are, a cubit elbow to, if that's what a cubit is not going to be 18 inches. It is going to be in whatever size you are. You know what I mean? It's going to be directly proportional to what your size is. So if you are 100 feet tall, your forearm to your arm is not going to be 18 inches. So that's why, to me, measurements are very, very important, because I'm curious what a Omer is and how they defined it and whether it could be a different measurement. But let's take a look. Let's go on. We were on 16:17 now. And the children of Israel did so and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did mediate with an Omer, When they did mediate with an Omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his... Okay, so miti, that's another word. Okay, we're getting lots of words that I don't know. Miti, M-E-T-E, M-E-T-E. We need to define that one. I am going to assume that means measurement. So that's my question. Does it mean measurement? When they measured it with the Omer. So basically they're just saying if somebody gathered too much bread, by the time they got to measure it, it was going to be just enough for them. Whereas on the flip side, if they gathered too little, they were going to get an increase of bread just so it's enough for them. Which, yes, that in itself is a miracle as well. And Moses said, let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened unto Moses, but some of them left of it until the morning. And it bred worms and stank, and Moses was wroth with them. They gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. Okay, so basically, if I'm reading this right, they're gathering bread. Some of them decided that they weren't going to do it every day, and the bread started rotting. Or if not, the sun was rotting and melted it. It came to pass that on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. So there's so many people that now the rulers among the people are coming up to Moses and saying, look, we've got twice the amount of bread. And he said unto them, that is that which the Lord had said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake to this day, and seethe that ye will seethe. That which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until morning. Okay, so now they're saying they have more than enough ingredients to make bread. Bake the bread that you have to do, and leave it till morning. And they laid it up till morning as Moses bade. It did not stink, neither were there any worms in it. Okay, so the bread was safe. Moses said, eat today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord, and ye shall not find it in the field. Okay, so now we are creating Sabbaths. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show, Dill. Lovely question to be asking. I pray for you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys. You get stupidity like that. All right, so Sabbaths. We are now establishing Sabbaths, day of rest unto the Lord. And that would be chapter 25. So right now we are on Exodus 16:25 is the establishment of a Sabbath. Okay, now we go on to 26. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in there shall be none. Okay, so 7th day is the Sabbath, on the day of rest. Okay, next we have, and it came to pass that there went some of the people on the 7th day to gather, and they found none. So even at this point, the Lord is saying, I want you to rest on the 7th day. But some people didn't even bother listening because they wanted to make sure that they had more bread. So they went out to gather and they found absolutely nothing because they should have been resting, but instead they were working. So even with the signs and wonders, you are still getting people who are in opposition to what the Lord is saying. The Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? Okay, interesting. The Lord is asking him, how long is it going to be that you're going to keep denying my rules and laws? Which, like I said, if you analyze what the Lord's rules and laws are, some of them are very with an undertone dark in nature. Negative. I'm not going to say dark. I'm not trying to use the word evil. I don't want to believe that the Lord is evil. But like I said, some of his requirements of what he wants of his people are negative. So he's asking Moses, how long is it going to be that you're not going to listen to my commandments and laws? And I guess this is now the establishment of the Ten Commandments. But let's see what happens. See, for the Lord had given you the Sabbath, therefore he gave you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in this place, and let no man go out of this place on the 7th day. Okay, so the rule is, he's like, look, you work. On the 6th day, I'm going to bless you with double the amount. But the catch is, on the 7th day, you have to rest. You have to rest. You have to stop working. You'll have more than enough. You'll have what you need, but you need to stop working. Which is interesting because that coincides with the 7 days of creation. That on the 7th day, there was that resting period. Okay? So the people rested on the 7th day. And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna. And it was the coriander seed white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Okay, manna. Here we go. We have the definition of manna now. So manna is a coriander seed and it's a wafer that tastes like made with honey. So it's like a sweet honey bread. I don't know if it would be crunchy like matzah, or would it be a soft one like a pita bread or like a naan bread or something like that. But basically, it's a coriander seed and it tastes like it was wafers. Okay, so I guess wafers would be like a crunchy textured bread. I don't know. We'll see. And Moses said, this is the thing which this is the thing which the Lord commanded. Fill an omer of it and keep for your generations, as they may see the bread that I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought forth from the land of Egypt. Okay, so I'm going to assume manna is now the creation of matzah. Okay? I'm going to think that that's where matzah came from. I could be wrong, but the only thing about matzah is it doesn't taste like honey at all. I know matzah to be like a very bland, non-tasting cracker, but it sounds like that this is the invention because you're going to be passing this along from generation to generation. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put a full omer of manna there, and lay it up before the Lord to keep for your generations. And the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat manna for 40 years until the land came inhabited. They did eat manna until it came onto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now the omer is the 10th part of an ephah. Okay, I have no idea what it is, but I'm going to write that down because I think that now omer is the 10th part of an ephah. Now, they're saying a measurement is the 10th part of I don't know what an ephah is. This was chapter 1636, which is the last verse of 16. Let me just see what this says. The container used to measure the manna was an omer, which is 1/10 of an ephah. It held about 2 quarts. Okay, so I guess an FF is considered 2 quarts. Or an FF is also a unit of measurement. So we're dealing with various measurements. The Bible is creating time measurements, and now it's creating quantity measurements. We've already had cubits, elbow to fingertips. We now have an Omar. We have an FF. So we're creating some sort of sense of guidance, of weight, of volume, of distribution. Hi.
Hello.
Chris is taking a break. How you doing?
I'm good.
You're okay? You're studying hard?
Yeah, I can't feel my feet, so I had to get up and move.
Oh, yeah. You know something?
Sat too long.
Why don't you put that massager so that
I'm
you
good.
can... Okay.
I shouldn't get up and move.
I have a little massager that you put your feet on.
It's like going
And
on a long drive.
I know.
You gotta stand
Well,
up
that's what
and-
I'm saying. Put the
Oh,
massager.
yeah, okay, I'm good. Back to
No,
it.
Chris, seriously, put the massager. It'll massage your feet. I used to do it all the time when I'm sitting long term.
Okay.
It really helps. It does help. It's in the bedroom. I have a foot massager that if you're sitting at a desk too long, you put your feet on it and it creates like a massaging thing. It really, really helps. I mean, it's good when you have like neuropathy or if you have problems with the feet. Tell him go put it in. But yes, that's Chris. He's studying hard. He's gonna be on the computer all day long working, but I'm so proud of him. Okay, anyway, so back to what we were talking about. We are talking about some unit of measurement. We've already defined time. We've already defined measurement. Now we're doing volume. So we're coming into this like more and more accuracy of comparative from nowadays till back then. Okay, anyway. Chapter 19. How long is 19? I just want to see. All right. There's 40 chapters of Exodus. So we're on 19, so we're halfway through. All right. So now, in the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth of the land of Egypt, the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and came to the desert of Sinai and pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. Okay, I'm reading the next one. Let's see if we see a divide or it's going to be one and the same. And Moses went up onto God. Moses went up onto God, and the Lord called out onto him. I'm still seeing 2 people. I do not see how this is the same person. So now Moses is going up to God, and the Lord was the one that called out to him, saying, "Thus shall you say unto the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel." I'm getting disconnected, guys. I feel, you know something, this is so strongly giving me the message that every time there's a disconnect between God, there's a disconnect between the Lord. I'm strongly having this feeling that the Lord is the Son of God. The Lord is the Son of God, but he's the Son of God in a spiritual sense. And I'm feeling like the aha moment is when he becomes the flesh. Okay, I could be wrong. I'm going to keep pointing this out. Every time I see that disconnect, I'm pointing it out. You guys can tell me I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is the message I'm getting. Okay, and there's a reason, because this makes it such a wonderful story if they come together, and that's where it solidifies the Trinity. But right now, there's a disconnect between God and the Lord. So, once again, we're on chapter 19. Moses went up onto God, and the Lord called out to him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel." So this is what he wants them to say. "Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto my kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel." Okay, so I'm going to stop there because that is what the Lord said to him. The Lord said those particular things. So let me dissect that before I go on and let's see what he's talking about, and hopefully it'll explain some of it. Okay, so now he's saying to Moses, go off and tell this to the children of Israel. Tell them that you've already seen what I did in Egypt. You saw those miracles. You saw those plagues. You saw everything in Egypt. How I bear you on eagle's wings. I'm not too sure what they mean about that. Bear on eagle's wings. Because if I'm not mistaken, at no point is there a reference to that. None of those miracles talks about eagles. So what does bear on eagle's wings mean? And that is chapter 19:4 of Exodus. So I want to read up onto that, because just because they say bear on eagle's wings, what that's telling me is maybe something was pulled out. Okay? Or maybe I missed something. But of all the miracles and of all the things we talked about, at no point was an eagle ever mentioned. So now it says, ye have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bear you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. So I need to read up on that bear on eagle wing, because I don't know what that means. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Okay, so now the Lord is saying, earth is mine. Earth belongs to me. I'm pausing for a second. So just remember, if the Lord is different from God, because God would be owner of everything. God created the universe. God created the heavens and earth. God created everything. However, the Lord is only this bubble. And if you remember, that was the divide I had in Genesis, because God was the one that created everything. But then it talks about these are the generations of creation. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, through the generations of creation, the Lord is now creating the earth. People keep saying God and Lord are the same thing. I'm seeing a disconnect. They're not the same thing in my mind just yet. I'm really getting this image that God created everything, but Lord created this earth. The Lord was the one that created the earth. And now he's even saying that the earth is mine. The earth belongs to me. He's not saying I'm the creator of everything. The earth belongs to me. And if you follow my tenets and follow my commandments and follow my covenant, then you are going to be a special people unto me, held up above everybody else. That's a very powerful and interesting statement. So it's making me believe that there is more to the story, that there is an outside stuff happening within the Lord's existence and within God's existence. And I'm still seeing it as two separate things for the time being. I really, really believe that Jesus is going to be the catalyst where the Lord is going to learn and come together once again and ascend in the resurrection. I really believe that. And I mean, everybody can tell me I'm wrong. I know Chris is even, and I'm like, Chris, they keep separating God and Lord. God and Lord keeps getting separated. And that's what I'm seeing. Okay, let me go on. So now, okay, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that I want you to speak to the children of Israel. And Moses came forth and called the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words that the Lord commanded. I find that interesting because Moses went up there to talk to God on the mountain. He says he went up onto God, but it was the Lord that came out and started speaking to God. That's why I'm getting that and I'm even more excited the more passionate I read about this, because it's going to make so much sense as a light bulb, because I never really understood the Trinity. And I think I'm not trying to erase what people are saying, but this makes more sense to me that the Lord is going to have his own revelation within. He's going to have his own light bulb moment. And right now, it's not happening because the Lord and God are... Okay, let me keep continuing. All the people answered together and said, all that the Lord had spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. Okay, so now the people, he's speaking to the elders, and the elder says, yes, we will do what you want us to do. And Moses returned and said, yes, Lord, they're going to be listening to us. And the Lord said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak to thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them to this day, tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. Okay, that's an interesting... Okay. Washing of the clothes. I know hygiene and things were done differently back then, but wash their clothes, that's going to be 1610. I'm just writing that down because I want to see the significance. And be ready against the third day. For the third day, the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. So once again, the spiritual is going to manifest itself in some sort of sight. We're going to be able to see the Lord. And thou shalt set bonds unto your people round, saying, take heed to yourself, that ye not go up unto the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever shall touch the mount shall be put to death. Okay, so the Lord is saying, I'm going to come up onto this mount. But here's the catch. You're not allowed to touch the mount. You're not allowed to go onto the mount. But I will appear to thee on the mount. All right, that's a little interesting. There shall not be a hand to touch, but ye shall be surely stoned or shot through. Whether it be a beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sound, they shall come up to the mount. Okay, so now he's creating, come to the mount, but don't touch it. But come to the mount upon trumpet sounds. So we're going to hear a trumpet sound. And do not touch. Do not touch. Okay. And the people went down from the mount, and the people sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives. Excuse me. Come not at your wives. Is he saying, wait. Is he saying, don't bring your wives? Or is he saying something along, don't take your wives or anything? Like, don't have sex with your wives? Let me find that out. Chapter 19, verse 15. I'm going to go to the, chapter 19, verse 15. He told them, get ready for the third day, and until then, abstain from having sexual intercourse. Okay, yeah, that's another sex reference. All right, yes, sometimes with the words, I have to go to the men's, this particular Bible, very, very interesting Bible. This is my husband's Bible. Oh my God, I keep calling him my husband. My fiance. We are going to get married, but I it's so natural right now that I keep calling Chris's. This is Chris's personal Bible, and what I like about this Bible is it puts it in layman's terms, easy terms to understand. And I mean, the word, and there's a lot of study guides in between and stuff like that. And I haven't read the study guides yet, which I probably will later on once I get through all this. But a lot of times I read something and a word pops up and it's like, okay, let me turn to that one. Let me turn to the NIV. Let me turn to the different Bibles. So obviously, yes, that was another sex reference. Lots of sex in the Bible. So basically they're saying, wash your clothes, come up to the mountain, Don't touch the mountain. Don't touch anything. Only come up when the trumpets are heard. You will see my image, and don't have sex with your wives. Okay, so that's what it means by that. Okay, so he says, be ready against the third day, and come not at your wives. Which, come not at your wives. Don't have sex with them. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding so loud, so that people in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God. And they stood at neither part of the mountain. Okay, so now, question, one and the same, I'm still debating, one and the same. So Moses wants them to meet with God, but the Lord is the one that's appearing. Meet with God, but the Lord is appearing. Stop that. Okay, let me see. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke therefore ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet spake, and waxed louder, Moses said, God has answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses on top of this mount, and Moses went up. So tell me, what do you think? One and the same or two different people? Is the Lord God, or is God two separate beings? The Lord said unto Moses, go down, charge the people, lest they break through the Lord. To gaze upon them is to perish. Let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Lord, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou charged against us, saying, set bounds at the mount and sanctify it. The people cannot come up. And the Lord said unto them, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou Aaron with thee. But let not the priest and the people break through to come up into the Lord. Okay, I am going to have to read this layman's terms, because I'm feeling like there's a backtrack for a minute, all right? If I'm reading this correctly, the Lord was the one that said, you're not allowed to... Wait, hold on. Yeah, the Lord was the one that said, you're not to touch this mountain, you're not to come up, you're not to climb, and you can't have sex with your wives until the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds, then you could come and I will show my face. I will show thee unto thee. Now he's saying, Moses, come on up here. So Moses go, and they have a one-on-one conversation. And he's saying, now that people could come up, but Moses is saying, no, you said for the people that they can't come up, that there's a bound against us. Let me read this section. We're talking about chapter 19, 20 to 25. So let me see what the Layman's Bible says, because that is a little confusing. So chapter 19, 20 to 25. The Lord came down on top of the Mount Sinai and called Moses on top of the mountain. So Moses climbed the mountain. Then the Lord said unto Moses, go back down and warn the people not to break through the boundaries to see the Lord, or they will die. Okay, so he's reminding them, they're not allowed to come here to see the Lord. Even the priests who regularly come near the Lord must purify themselves, so the Lord does not break out and destroy them. But Lord, Moses protests, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai. You already warned us. You told me to mark off a boundary around this mountain and make it holy. But the Lord said, go down and bring Aaron back up with you. In the meantime, do not let the priest or the people break through the approach of the Lord, or he will break out and destroy. So Moses went down to the people and told them what the Lord had said. That's contradictory. So on one end, he's saying, do not let the priest or the people come up, but I want you and Aaron to come up. And on the other end, he's saying, yeah, let them come up. That's what. And Moses is saying, but you drew a boundary. This is Holy Land. They're not going to be coming up. So that's a little confusing. Let me go to chapter 20. So I'm going to go to chapter 20, see if it explains anything. All right. Now we're going to get a change in verbiage again. Because remember, it's Lord God, Lord God. It keeps going back and forth. Now we're talking about God. So let's see what this says, chapter 20. And God spoke these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. Ooh, I'm gonna go on because these are the 10 Commandments. Actually, I'm gonna stop for a second. This gets into a very, very in fact, let me write this down. Chapter 20, because this is the light bulb moment for some conspiracy theories. Exodus 24. Okay. Some of the conspiracy theories, and I'm bringing this into play because with conspiracy theorists, they are very religious. They are the Bible genuinely proves a lot of conspiracy theories. Okay? And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I just want to literally explain something based on what the Bible is talking about. So remember when I was saying this. In the beginning, God created a firmament and called it heaven. And what the firmament did was it separated the waters from above and the waters from below, literally creating an air bubble. And in this air bubble is as we know it as Earth. Okay? Now, here's the conspiracy theory, and you guys can talk science versus non-science. I'm just talking conspiracy. Not that I believe this, but I'm doing it in the face of what the Bible's saying. There is a belief that we have never been into space. We've been to different levels of the atmosphere, but there is a strong belief that there is no such thing as space. Part of it being that they think that the moon landing is a hoax, they think this and that. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, not looking at pictures that NASA does. If you legitimately take a telescope and you go outside and you look up, not onto the moon, but onto the stars, they will not be perfectly clear images of a star. Instead, it almost mimics an image of light through water. Okay? And I'm explaining this carefully because this means a lot of interesting things that one rule. It's an image of light through water. And even in the Bible, it makes me think that God is in water. Because one of the first things he created, in one Bible it says he created great whales. In another Bible it says sea creatures. So I'm just going to use the term sea creatures. Whether it was a whale or not, doesn't matter. But he created sea creatures, fish, things in the water, in the likeness of their kind. He created beasts, cattle, in the likeness of their kind. He created the fowl of the air in the likeness of their kind. But man, he created in his own kind, in his own image. Okay? Where I'm getting at is, I am wondering if those different creatures, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, the cattle, are actually the image of the other gods in that watery land. Because let me read this carefully and just hear, and remember, this is conspiracy theory. It's not necessarily my belief, but just hear me out. It says, thou shalt not make unto thee graven image. So you're not going to make any images of any likeness of anything that is in heaven above. Heaven, remember, is defined in the Bible, anything above the firmament. Okay? That's important to know. So if you're above, that's why the Tower of Babel wanted to create a tower touching heaven so that they could get to heaven. That ceiling, that firmament. They wanted to pierce and go above that ceiling in order to get in heaven. So he's saying, thou shalt not make an image of anything found above heaven. So what that's telling me is that there is something above heaven. I don't know what it is, but he's flat out saying, do not make any images of things above heaven. Okay? The other one says, or that is in the earth beneath. So now we're going lower. Don't make images of anything that is below the earth. We don't know what's below the earth. Or that is in the water under the earth. Okay, so now, this is very, very important. I mean, okay guys, this is a light bulb moment, so just hear me out. I know it sounds crazy, but this is a light bulb moment. So now, you have this ball, earth. You have, even if it's flat, and whether it's flat or not, people believe in flat earth, but let's just say it's in layers. The top layer is going to be water, separated by heaven. You cannot make an image of anything that's above that. Now, you could say from our assumption, well, there's nothing above there. We're the only things. No, he's saying don't make any images of things that are above that. So that's telling me there's something above heaven. He's also saying don't make any images of things in the earth, down in the earth. Another level he's talking, don't make images of anything in the waters of the earth. So now we are getting this definition straight from God's mouth, the Lord's mouth, whoever you want to say, God, Lord. We're getting straight from God's mouth that says, do not make things, images of gods from those areas. So that's also telling me there's so much more to the story. All right, let me go continue because I think that's very important. I will probably do a separate video just on that, but that's very interesting. Okay, we're on Exodus 25, and this is about, okay, so no images between above or heaven, earth below, and then water below. Those are 3 locations. 3 locations where God's will inhabit that you should not make images of. I think that's a very, very important verse. But let me go on. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. So now he's even giving more information. Not only should you not make images of these gods, don't even bother bowing down to them. I like this verse because this is solidifying the fact that I was like in the previous chapters, I was saying it sounds like there's more than one God. They're talking about gods, but they're really not talking about gods. Here, they're flat out talking about these gods. So there's gods that dwell above heaven, there's gods that dwell beneath the earth, and there's gods that dwell underneath the water, below earth. So he's telling you, do not make images of these gods. Do not bow down before these gods. Okay? For I am the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Okay, now stop. He's a jealous God. That's a negative quality. I'm still questioning the intentions of, it's like there's jealousy. So even among God, there's some sort of negativity, jealousy. Should God, this omniscient, all-knowing spiritual being, should there be jealousy Should there be vanity? I mean, there's vanity because he wants people to worship. So that's my question. All right, so that's why I'm feeling like this is a very important chapter. Exodus chapter 20, very important. Let's go on because, all right, so it says, I am the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children onto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly, I'm going to go to the layman's terms, but let me just see if I understand this correctly. He is visiting people that absolutely hate him, and this is the third and fourth generation, the third and fourth time he's doing this. Now, is he simply talking about the generations of Israel, or is he talking about the massive generation? Because remember, generations of creation. So is this the third and fourth time he reset the earth? If we look at it that way, we could say the first time was Noah's flood, the second time was Sodom and Gomorrah, now that this is the plagues of Egypt as the third time. Or are we talking about even further generations, that something happened way before this? Because remember when I'm still under the assumption that something was going on in God's life, that he decided it's time to make something good. Something's going on with the let's make something good. Let there be light. Here's the earth. We're going to make this earth. Everything he puts on it, this is good, this is good. And from my perspective, if you're creating something that's good, the comparison is something bad is going on. So the fact that God kept saying, this is good, I'm creating this, I'm doing this. But now he's saying of the generations of people who hate me. Generations of people who hate me. Okay, I just lost track of where I'm at. Let me just go back. Okay, sorry, we're on chapter 20. Yes, chapter 20, verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down before thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children onto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So he's trying to say he keeps visiting people that hate him. He's a jealous God. Okay, let me go on. And showing them mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So I keep visiting people that hate me, but I show mercy to the thousands of people who listen to me. Okay? Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God in vain. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. For the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Okay, so 1. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. Okay. Well, actually, no, that's not the, okay, I'm sorry. I should have gone back. So, I should have labeled these. Hold on one second. Let me just see something. I want a list. One of my other Bibles actually has the list of the 10 Commandments. The reason I'm doing that is because there's verbiage in between. I want a list of the actual 10 Commandments. Let me see. Was it this one? One of my Bibles actually had, and I want to do a comparison to just the 10 Commandments. Just checking if. Okay, here it is. 10 Commandments. Okay. All right, let me write this down. I was going out of order. So the first commandment is, thou shalt not make any graven image. So, no graven image Okay. Which is an acknowledgement that there's other gods. 2, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain. No, take name Lord in vain. Okay, all right. I'm going to need to keep that as I read. Because right now, like I said, they're putting lots of words in between. So I want to make sure I'm getting the 10 Commandments correctly. Okay, so thou shalt not have all other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee graven images or any likenesses of anything. Are these out of order? Thou shalt not, thou shalt remember thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not. Okay, interesting. Are the commandments out of order? I'm just asking, because even looking at the 10 Commandments there, unless is there specific order for the 10 Commandments? Because I just want to see something. Because right now with him describing the 10 Commandments, they're out of order. Because the first one would have been, thou shalt have no other gods before me. But that's actually the last commandment in the written thing. So are the commandments in different orders? All right, so no graven image. You know what? I'm just going to write it here. Let me cross this out again. I'm crossing this out again. I'm going to write it out exactly as it is in the Bible. And then I want to see if they change it, the order. And I'm wondering if the order has a difference. So the first command, thou shalt not have other gods before me. So 1, no other gods before me. 2, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. So graven images, no graven images. So that we're talking about images. 3, thou shalt not bow down thyself nor serve. So no bowing or serving other gods. 4, a jealous God, and showing mercy upon them. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. So no Lord's name in vain. In vain. Okay. For the Lord will not hold him guilty, taking the name of him. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So number 5, remember the Sabbath. Day of rest. Holy day. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day, the Sabbath, the Lord thy God in it shall not do any work, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy manslave, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within the gates. So remember the Sabbath, you're going to get a day of rest. That's number 5. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them. Notice it's saying the Lord made this, not God, Lord, but and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Number 12, which would be the 6th one. Honor thy father and thy mother, that the days may be long upon the land which the Lord had given thee. So honor mother and father. Okay, number 7. Thou shalt not kill. Not kill. Number 8. Thou shalt not commit adultery. No adultery. Number 9. Thou shalt not steal. No stealing. Number 10. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Okay, number 10. Bear false witness against a neighbor. I'm not too sure what that means. I'm going to just highlight. Now notice we already have 10 commandments here. Commandment 11. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy wife's, nor his manservant, nor his maid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. So number 11, thou shalt not covet neighbor's wife. Now, interesting enough, just to point this out, I am going to assume that covet means to take, to have sex with, because they're saying not thou shalt not covet his ox nor his ass. So are we talking bestiality? Is that a question? It's just a question. Or is coveting mean, so I need to know what the term covet means. So define covet. All right. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood far off. Okay, so now here's an interesting thing. There are 11 commandments here, but I always thought there were 10 commandments. So I know that there's this thing where the commandments broke. So I'm wondering which one of these commandments gets removed, or does it get blended in with something else? That's just a question. I'm just going strictly by what this is saying, because I also noticed that these are out of order. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're up to 2019. Moses said, "Spake thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die." Once again, God versus Lord, God versus Lord. If we listen to God, we're going to die. I'm still having a problem with the two. I really am. Moses said unto people, "Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye not sin." And God stood off far, and Moses drew near the thick darkness where God was. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Thus thou shalt say unto your children of Israel, Ye that I have talked with you from heaven, ye shall not make me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold." Okay, I'm going to write that down as number 12. Ye shall not make with me gods of neither make me unto gods of gold. Okay, so no gods of silver or gods of gold. Okay. "An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and sacrifice burnt offerings and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thy oxen. In all places where I record thy name, I will come unto thee and bless thee." So now we're talking about making an altar. And he will bless. "If thou wilt make an altar of stone, thou now shalt build it out of hew stone. For if thou lift up thy tool, thou hast polluted it." Okay, so now here's another rule. So there's more rules in. The altar cannot be made with a tool or hewn stone. So I need to define hewn. And I'm assuming that means like building stone. Well, no. "Neither shalt thou go up by steps onto my altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon." So now there shouldn't be, number 15, no steps to the altar. But what does this mean? That thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. Let me go to 2026. That was the end of chapter 20. I'm going to go to 2026. Where does the nakedness come in? Is he trying to say that you need to go to an altar naked? 2026. "Build me an altar made of earth and offer your sacrifices to me, your burnt offerings and peace offerings, your sheep and goats and cattle. Build me an altar wherever I cause my name to be remembered, and I will come to you and bless it. If you use stones to build my altar, Only use natural, uncut stones. Do not shape the stones with a tool, for that would make my altar unfit for holy use. And do not approach my altar by going up steps. If you do, someone might look upon under your clothing and see you naked. I'm going to pause for a second. This is very interesting. I didn't know about this. So I'm going to highlight this. This is about building an altar. So the altar needs to be made out of natural, like wood or something, natural wood, or uncut stone. Okay, if you're using stone, can't be cut with tool, no stairs. All right. The reason I'm saying this, I'm thinking of Catholic churches. And like I said, I'm not trying to condemn anybody. I'm thinking of Catholic churches. This is how Catholic churches are. There are steps to get up to the platform where there's an altar. Generally, altars are these beautiful, ornate designs. They will have curvatures, carves. Sometimes I've seen stone, beautifully marble stone, or it would be a wood altar. That's going against the commandments. I mean, unless that's where the command, because right now there's 15 rules. We only have 10 commandments, but he already set up 15 rules. 16 if you actually start talking about the altar itself. But churches, just think about this. Just think about the church. Think about the churches you go to, because I find this important. When I go to a Christian church or Pentecostal church or even a revival, there is always a platform with stairs going up. It's never leveled. There's always this sense that when the preacher talks, there's stairs and there's a platform going up. Now that could be an image thing, like an angle thing. It could be a point of view. But he's specifically saying, hi, baby. That's Chris. He's coming back for it. So he's specifically saying that if you're going to worship, that there should not be stairs. So why is every single church that I know, there's stairs going up to the altar? So that's issue number one. Issue number two, stone versus wood. So if you're using a stone, you're going to be using an uncut pure stone. The moment you cut the stone, the grounds become unholy. So why, in the Catholic tradition, are all of their altars made with cut marble in this beautiful, ornate design? Question. Okay. Now, for Christian churches I've been to, very rarely is there ever an actual altar. Usually there is a podium, pedestal, some sort of where the preacher is preaching. However, there is still an ascension of stairs. Now, once again, it could be an angle thing with the church, but here's the thing. A way around it is, why always have stairs? Why not build a ramp? So if it's nothing more than simply an angle thing in order to see the preacher above, then biblically, to follow what the Bible is saying, you would need to have a ramp up to your preacher instead of stairs. You're already looking at, I'm reading the Bible. He's looking at me like, what? Any thoughts? I'm reading too much? No? Chris, no. I love you.
I love you too.
I really do. I know you like reading.
The only bad thing about staring at a computer or phone, eyes.
Your eyes. Yeah. You're not used to being on a computer all day long. I know that. Yeah. And it does affect it. Take breaks. It's important. Did you get the little massager for your feet?
No.
Get the massager for your feet. It will help bring No, it will help bring circulation to your legs. You put your feet on it, it will massage the blood in your legs, and this way it won't be so bad sitting on your butt all the whole time. You're not used to that. Chris is studying hard. That's why I'm in here. I said, you go in there, study hard, do your classes you need to take. I'm here. I'm reading the Bible. I'm probably going way too deep into this. But this is actually, I'm telling you, I've never been more excited about reading this. I'm not trying to prove it wrong, but it's like comparing what the Word is saying versus what I've been taught and what I've been conditioned to believe in. Very eye-opening stuff. So, he wants his church to be without steps, without cut stone. You know, in other words, I almost want to say he's building his church of simplicity. He wants an altar. He wants you to have an altar, but it's almost simplistic. Now, bear in mind, I'm just reading this. I know at one point, I think one of the tablets of the commandments gets destroyed or something like that. At least that's what I remember. But I'm going to keep reading and see what happens. But it's just a matter of when you guys go to church, think about the layout of your church. Does it have an altar? Does it have stairs? Does it have a podium? Because I think those characteristics of your church are very interesting. Does your church have idols? Statues? Just something to think about. I mean, that's just an eye-opening thing of how the Lord wishes his church, his altar, his place of holiness to be built compared to how churches are actually built now. All right, let's go on. We are on chapter 21. We just started 21. So let's start 21. How long is 21? Okay. Let's start chapter 21. So we just established the 10 Commandments, which for some reason right now is actually 16 commandments, but it looks like they're going to somehow either cut them, combine them, or what. Well, let's see. Chapter 21. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Okay, so now we have an establishment of slaves. Okay, so now he's making more rules. I'm not going to call them commandments, but he is making more rules. So you're going to take a Hebrew slave, servant, slave, same thing, for 6 years, and then free him on the 7th. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. But if he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. Interesting. So if you take a Hebrew slave with wife, wife must leave with him. I say that's interesting because anybody who would disobey this rule, they would be losing 2 slaves as opposed to losing 1 slave. Yes.
I have 10 hours left.
You have to complete everything?
Yeah.
That's great. So wait, so you'll be completely done with everything in 10 hours?
I'll be done by Monday with it all.
So
It sucks. I gotta go through all the EPA crap again. I gotta go through EPA core.
did you?
On. I gotta take the prep courses on all of them.
But that's perfect. You'll walk in Monday saying, "Look, I got all of it done."
Can I have my position?
You're good. Yes.
Do it.
You got it done. I'm so proud of you, Chris. Chris, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Oh my God. And for those of you who don't know, he got the promotion, but he has to take continuing education class and do these work study classes, and he has 10 more hours left, which he can easily get done today and tomorrow. It's just a lot of work. He's been working on it all day. You know, if I could preach the Bible 3-4 hours every day, you could sit down and do 10 more hours.
Okay.
I love you.
I figure I'd do the 8 to 5.
8 to 5? Well, you do need to take breaks in between. Go put the massager on. It will definitely help. It will help. It'll help your feet. Oh, Coffee Queen says, congratulations. Coffee, you have no idea. We are so excited. I mean, we have been blessed in so many different ways. Let me just see if I missed a comment. I didn't miss a comment? No, I didn't. But yeah, he's been studying all morning. He's taking a short break right now, and I could see that he's tired. He's saying that his eyes are hurting. His legs are hurting. I told him go put a massager. I have a really good massager for like neuropathy that you could put down and you put your feet on it and it massages your feet, brings circulation up the legs. I'm telling him to go use it. It helps me when I'm sitting down, but he's stubborn. He's the type that doesn't like to admit that sometimes he needs a little help, that he's getting a little old. At least I can admit, yeah, I'm old. I need help with stuff, but anyway. I'm so excited. So yeah, so he got the promotion, and what's great about his promotion is he's not going up one level, he's going up 2 levels. And the way the company is, because he's skipping over 2 levels, he needs to take all the training in the level he skipped. That's what he's doing right now. So he's like, I've got 10 hours left. So what we're hoping to do is that he finishes this weekend, which he'll finish. I'm going to make sure he finishes. If he finishes it this weekend, then Monday they sign the papers off and he's promoted. So, but yeah, it's guaranteed. That's the only thing that stopped them. They're like, look, as per company policy, we can't give you this promotion until you already take the test of the second one that you're skipping. So it's like as if he already became the second one now. Yeah. So I'm so happy for him. Anyway. Chapter 21. We are on, we're talking about more judgments. So right now, you can take a Hebrew slave for 6 years, but you must free them on the 7th year. If they come in by themselves, you just free them. But if they came in with a wife to begin with, the wife must leave with them. I find that interesting because I could see where they may be opposition. And the opposition is going to be that at the 7-year mark, you're going to lose 2 slaves as opposed to losing 1 slave. And I could see where from a monetary perspective and a greed perspective, the fact that they're losing 2 slaves, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, his wife shall go with him. If his master had given him a wife, and she had borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go by himself. Interesting. There's the loophole. Okay, there is the loophole. So, if you get a slave and the master matches you up with a woman during your time as a slave, so you come in solo, a solo slave, and your master says, hey, I'm going to give you a wife. You guys are going to have fun. You're going to procreate. Well, upon the 7th year, the master is going to keep the wife and kids, and you're going to be cast out on your own. That is treacherous, and that's also the loophole. There's always a loophole. But interesting enough, these are the Lord's commands. So there, right there, is that dark undertone, if you don't mind me saying, because I feel like everything that the Lord says, there's always something that's a little twist. There's that twist right there, is he's allowing slaves to have children, to have a wife, but if the master was the one that match made them, then the master gets to hold on to the wife and kids. That is treacherous. I'm sorry. Okay, let's go on. If the servant shall plainly say, I love my master and my children, I will not go free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Okay, so now, I'm going to pause right for a second because this is important. Remember when I was saying that I want to get a hold of 2 different Bibles? There's 2 Bibles I want to get a hold of. The first Bible I want to get a hold of is the Ethiopian Bible. Reason being is there's so many more books in the Ethiopian Bible, which will expand this story. It is the oldest book. It's even before the 1611 King James. Because right now, the King James Version is based on the 1611 translation. 1611 translation. The Ethiopian was way before the 1611 translation. So there's so many more books in that book. That's the first book I want to get a hold of. The second book I want to get a hold of, and this is going to come into play, is there is a Civil War Slaves Bible. This is an American version Bible. It is a Bible that was handed to the slaves during the Civil War because it was reduced down so much. Everything was taken out of it that all it said, basically, within this Bible is it honored slavery. It talked about from the slave's perspective. It gave rules to the slave. So I almost feel like this is, now bear in mind, both of those books. I have never read the Ethiopian Bible. I have never read the Slave's Bible. I want to read both of them to get the context so I understand it. I'm only reciting what has been told, and that's why I'm so eager to find them. But they're very, very hard to come by. So those are the two books. Now with this, I think this is very important. They are giving the definition of slavery. So here, and this is slavery based on the Lord's command. So the Lord is now defining slavery for his people. And here's where the dark undertone is. The dark undertone is, if you are a single man and you're brought into slavery, on the 7th year, you are free to go alone. If you're brought in as a slave with a wife already, then the 7th year, both you and your wife are free to go. If you are brought in as a single man, but now your master matches you up with a wife and has kids, here's what's going to happen. The man is free to go, but the master is going to hold on to the wife and kids because the wife and kids belong to the master. Unless you now go before a judge, before your master, and let me just read that again. The master shall bring him to the judge, he shall bring him to the door, or onto the door, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve forever. So basically what they're saying is, if you want to keep your wife and kids, then you are not free on the 7th year. You are going to be ear tagged and you are going to serve me forever. That to me is a dark undertone. And I say this every now and then because the Lord, he even said the Lord is very jealous. The jealous. And I feel like for every good thing that the Lord does, there's something not so good. And I almost want to say right here is the not so good thing is the fact that he's condemning a person into slavery for the benefit of his wife and children. Only if it's the wife and children that the master gave him to. If he had a wife before then he would be free to go with his wife. But from a master perspective, I really feel like a master would not be willing to let them go. So I think this is going to be interesting. Let me see how this unfolds because we are talking about slavery here. And this is slavery as per the commandments of the Lord. We're still talking about commandments. It appears that, from my understanding, the commandments are now going to be reduced down to 10. We're already up to like 19 commandments. So there's 19 commandments here. So, oh yeah, these are all the rules of what they're saying. That's why I'm writing it down as he's talking. So I know there's a point where the commandments get smashed, right? So that's how I think it reduces down to 10.
Okay.
Right? Or am I wrong? Am I off the mark? You said you loved the story of Moses?
I've never heard of any of that.
Okay, well right now, reading the Bible word for word, and I'm counting each one, I'm up to 19 right now. These are 19 rules that he is making. And right now we're talking about the rules of slavery.
He was writing on stone, so.
I know. Well, that's why... Okay, wait. Coffee, hold on.
His hand got tired after 10 of them.
Okay, hold on. Coffee, thank you. There are 613 commandments in the Bible. However, God wrote 10 on stone. Okay, so thank you.
So I'm just saying maybe his hand got tired, so that's why there's only 10 on stone.
His hand got tired, so okay, coffee, thank you. I'm going to write that down because, like I said, if I'm taking each one of the things that he's saying as a commandment, there's a lot here, and I'm already up to like 19, 20. I probably lost count because there's multiple rules in between. So let me write that down. There are 613 commandments. I didn't know that, but that does make sense. But only 10 of them written on stone. And as of right now, I'm up to chapter 21. Nothing has been written in stone yet. Okay? We didn't get to the stone part yet. We're getting to the part where he's talking about his commandments. So if there's 613, I have no problem with reading 613. In fact, I'm actually excited because, like I said, remember when I was saying, and I mean, I'm not trying to look down upon it, but every time they talk about the Lord, I feel like there's this dark undertone. They talk about God completely different. And they keep separating, saying, God doing this, Lord doing this. There's keeping a divide. And I really, really believe the light bulb moment is when the Lord teaches his son, when God teaches his son, the Lord, a lesson by making him in the form of Jesus in the flesh, that he finally does ascend and become that all-powerful, loving, good being. That's what it is. Okay. It's through the OT? Oh, Old Testament. It's through the Old Testament. Okay, thank you. I'm like, OT, what's OT? Oh, yes, it's throughout. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because he says a lot of things. I mean, I almost want to say, we were talking earlier about circumcision. That whole chapter bothered me. That whole idea on circumcision bothers me, that the only way to get into a covenant with the Lord is for men to have a snip, snip. In fact, like I said, there's that Lorena Bobbitt moment where the wife snips off the husband's, throws it at his feet and says, go follow the Lord. I find that funny, but I mean, that's how graphic the whole idea of circumcision is. So I find that like really important. So if there's 613 commandments, this makes total sense. It's only the 10 which are written on stone. Was Original Testament 2 so grateful for... And see... Coffee, I don't know if you heard my my theory. I've been saying this a couple of times, and like I said, I could be totally off the mark, but I really, really feel like that the Lord needed a final lesson to be taught. Because right now, like I said, it's already described. The Lord is jealous. The Lord is vain. The Lord wants to be worshipped. The Lord this, the Lord that. And each time he gives something to man, yes, he's doing good for man, but he's also doing some evil things to man. And I'm wondering if the lesson was, you are now going to be in the form of flesh. You are my son. The Lord is the Son of God. The Lord is now going to come down as Jesus, and that's what's going to create the Trinity once he learns the lesson. And the only reason I say that is because the Lord keeps saying, I am the Lord of the earth. He doesn't talk about anything outside the earth. I am the Lord God of earth. I rule the earth. We already know that God, explained in Genesis, God rules everything, including what's above. And what's exciting is that chapter that we were talking about, where I wrote it down, Exodus 20:40, clearly explains that there are 3 levels to everything. There is above the heavens, because God, the Lord, does not want you to mimic any gods above the heavens. Doesn't want you to create idols of any gods from the earth below or the waters below. So that's 3 separate levels where there are gods that exist, which is not God and which is not the Lord. There are other gods that exist in 3 different spheres, in 3 different levels. We already know that based on Exodus 20:40. So I think that's a very important verse. Anyway, let's go on because, you're excited about it? Thank you, Coffee. It's an interesting theory. I just want to know the light bulb moment. So far, like I said, I want to be proven wrong. If that's a wrong theory, maybe there'll be a verse. But right now, that's my light bulb moment, is that the Son of God, the Lord, needs to be taught humanity, needs to be taught the opposition of vanity, needs to be taught not to be jealous. And that's why he died for our sins in the form of the flesh. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see what happens. Chris joined in. Hi, Chris. He's probably thinking like, this girl is crazy. All right, no. I love you, but you love the craziness. That's the thing.
All women are crazy. You just gotta find the crazy that you can handle.
Oh, so you can handle my crazy. That's what it is.
So far.
You want to permanently handle my craziness. All right, I love Chris. I really do. He makes me so happy. All right, chapter 21. I forgot what verse we're on. Okay, so we're back to slavery because I think he came here to show us because we need to learn and needed an example. But I feel like it's a twofold example that humanity got the gift when the Lord finally realized it. So it was a twofold gift. It was a gift to humanity and a gift to his son. We can never, I agree, we can never comprehend it all. I think that's what my difficulty is. I'm trying to dissect something that there is no way I will ever understand fully. And that's where faith of the heart comes in. All right, let's go on. We're on chapter 21. But no, Coffee, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I mean, this is excitement with how many commandments there are and how it gets reduced down. Not that it gets reduced, but the 10 are the basic ones. And so far, the 10 commandments are out of order compared to what they said in the thing. So I want to see at what point they finally get on stone. Because right now the commandments are not set in stone. All right, so... But I do have the understanding, and Chris was like a little iffy. I thought he wrote more than 10 commandments on stone, and that one of the stones broke, and that's why it was reduced down to 10. I could be wrong. That's just something that was taught to me. I want to see if that happens later on. But we didn't get to the stone part. So now we're talking about slaves. Okay, so if a man sells his daughter to a maidservant, she shall not go out as the manservants do. Okay, so that we're talking more slavery. So now, a man has a daughter. The daughter is now being sold to one of the other slaves. So that is a marriage between the slave and the daughter. That man now lost his daughter. Because when he gets free with his wife, the daughter is not going with him. The daughter is staying with whoever she was sold to. Okay. If she pleases not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her go to be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceivably with her. I'm going to read this in the layman's terms, because what I'm getting at is, I'm going to say pleasing in two terms, but I'll see what the layman says. What I'm thinking is, okay, if you sell your daughter, you're a slave, you have a daughter, the master now sells your daughter to another slave. But if that daughter is not found pleasing, it could either be on a sexual sense or on the fact that she can't conceive a child, then he has the right to take that child and sell her to another nation. Get her out of here. She doesn't belong here. Sell the daughter. If she pleases not her master who had betrothed them to him, then he shall let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceitfully with her. Let me read that. That is chapter 21:8. Let me just make sure I'm reading that correctly. 21:8. If she does not satisfy her owner, he must allow her to be bought back again. So yeah, he's going to say, but he is not allowed to sell her to foreigners. Okay, my mistake. I thought it meant that he had to sell her to foreigners. He is not allowed to sell her to foreigners since he is the one that broke the contract with her. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was going to say that's another dark thing. Like if a woman's not pleasing you, get her out of her own culture, sell her to foreigners. No, I was wrong. I was wrong on that one. So basically, if the daughter is not found pleasing, that the man had bought as a slave, he can give her back. She can be bought again, but he cannot sell her to foreigners. So she has to stay within her own kind. So let me write that down. So daughters must stay within own kind. Own kind. Okay. Next we have, all right, chapter 9, 21:9. And if he had betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he betrothed her to her son, 21:9. But if she's a slave owner's arranges to marry her son, he may no longer treat. Oh, okay, that's a good thing. So if the slave, if he matches her up with his son being a free man, she now becomes a free woman and is treated like a daughter, not as a slave. That's good to know. Okay. Historically, this is very interesting. I'm not even going to say the word, but there is a philosophy which this is coming big into play about the whole idea of slavery and not slavery. But I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. But this is very interesting how they mention this. So, okay. All right. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment being clothes, and her duty of marriage shall not be diminished. Okay, so they're allowing multiple wives. And if he does not do these three things unto her, then shall she go free without money. So if he doesn't do what he said he's going to do, she can be freed without cost. He that smiteth a man, so shall die, shall surely be put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver unto him his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. Okay, so he's saying he will give him a place to run to. Okay. And he that smite his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He that steals a man and selleth him, he shall be found in his hand, shall be put to death. So now there's consequences. And these are deadly consequences. So its consequences is if you sell your slave when you weren't supposed to, you're going to be put to death. If you take the daughter and you weren't supposed to, you're going to be put to death. So now he's getting some really cruel punishments for not listening to his rule. You're going to die. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall be put to death. Okay, so now we've got deadly punishments. Cursing the father, selling the slave when you weren't supposed to. If the men strive together and one smite one another with a stone or with his fist, he die, but keepeth his bed. No, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. If a man strive together and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, he keepeth his bed. Verse 21:18. Let me read that. 21:18. Now suppose two men quarrel, and one hits the other with a stone or fist, and the injured person does not die, but is confined to his bed. Okay. If he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, so that he may smote him, be quit, only he shall pay for the loss of time and cause him thoroughly to be healed. So basically he's saying, if you get into a fight, whether it's a fist fight, a stone fight, or anything like that, and one man is injured and actually survives, when he rises up again, even if it's with a staff to help walking, like a walking stick, you're going to pay for his expenses for the time that he lost wages. So in other words, I almost want to say the Lord is telling you that if you're going to fight somebody, make sure you do it to the death. That's what I'm getting at. Make sure you do it to the death, because if not, you're going to have to pay for that person if they survive and they walk out of it. All right. If a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Okay, wait, that counteracts it. Because now he's saying, if you kill your servant or maid with a rod, he shall die under his hand. Surely. Notwithstanding, if he continued a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is with money. If a man strives and hurts a woman with a child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischiefs follow, he shall be surely punished according to the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pass the judge's determine. So now he's saying if a man is going to injure a woman who's pregnant with a child, the husband has a right to dole out the punishment. Dole out the punishment that the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot. That's a very important one. I'm going to write that down. That is Exodus 21:24. That's the eye for an eye. So we're getting the judgment. Okay, so eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand. Foot. So basically, it's giving it an allowance that you can hurt somebody if they hurt you. Burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if a man smite the eye of his servant or the hand of his maid, they shall perish. He shall let them go free for his eye's sake. And if he smite his man's servant tooth or his maid's servant's tooth, he shall let them go free for the tooth. Okay, so now this is talking about the freeing of slaves. So if by chance the master is going to hurt his servant, his slave, it's not going to be eye for an eye. The slave doesn't have a right to fight back against the master. Instead, the slave goes free. So that act, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, has just freed the slave. If an ox gore a man or woman that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quiet. I never understand why the Lord... I'm going to pause 1 second. I never understand why the Lord punishes animals. There's a reason that I think, and this is my theory. So, a lot of times the Lord is punishing the animals. He already said that the firstborn cattle in Egypt was a plague set upon the firstborn cattle. If any of the cattle climb the Mount of Sinai, they are going to be dying. In this case, if an ox was to push his horn, if an ox were to gore a man or a woman and they shall die, the ox shall be stoned. Let's go back to Genesis and my theory on this, where I say when he created the fowl of the air, he created it in their image. When he created the fish of the sea, the sea creatures, he created in their image. When he did the cattle, it was their image. But man was in the image of the Lord. So that's telling me those are the gods. Because why would you punish an ox? There's no reason to punish. If an ox is nothing more than just a dumb creature, if you look at just a creature to be used or... But what I'm saying is, why place judgment and punishments on animals which may not necessarily have free will conscious choice? Or do they? He might be punishing the God that is attached to these because he's placing a punishment upon their kind. Their kind. Whoever created, like, you know what I mean? Their kind. That's a question I have. I would love to hear your opinions, but let's go on. This will probably be my last chapter. Yeah, I'm going to stop at we'll start chapter 22 tomorrow because I'm also getting tired and I'm looking at the time. It's late. So let me finish this chapter. I think this is important. If the ox were wont to push his horn in the time of the past, and it had been testified to his owner that he had not kept him, but he had killed a man or woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall be put to death. Why would you put the owner to death if the ox does it? If the ox were wont to push his horn in time past, and it had been testified to his owner, and he had not kept him in, but he had killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall be put of death. Let me go back. Let me go to 21:29. 21:29. That's confusing. Why would you punish the owner if the ox is doing? Unless he's saying if he's lying. Okay, here we go. If the ox scores a man or woman to death, the ox must be stoned, and his flesh may not be eaten. In such a case, however, the owner will not be held liable. But suppose the ox has a reputation for goring, and the owner had been informed but failed to keep it under control, and the ox kills someone, it must be stoned, and the owner must be put to death. Okay, now I'm understanding it. So basically, if the owner is aware that this ox has killed somebody in the past, the owner is aware that the ox has killed somebody, but doesn't do anything about it. He didn't put the ox to death. And now the ox does it again, then both the ox and the owner are going to be put to death because the owner didn't act upon the initial case in the past of the ox killing people. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give up for ransom his life whatsoever is laid upon him. Whether he have gored a son or gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done. If the ox push a manservant or a manservant or maidservant, and he give unto them their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox be stoned. Okay, so now if an ox of one person kills the servant of another one, then that ox is going to be put down, but that guy has to give the other person 30 shekels in order to pay for his slave. Okay? If a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and an ox or ass fall in, the owner of the pit shall make it good and give money to the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. Okay, so now this is the idea of catching for food. So if you dig up a pit and a donkey or ox falls into it, the dead carcass of it belongs to the one who made the pit. However, the one who made the pit has to pay the owner of that ox money. So in other words, he's paying for the ox, which instead of creating the pit, why didn't he just pay for the ox in the first place? Anyway, if a man's ox hurts another, then he shall die, and they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also shall he divide. Or if it be known that the ox had used to push him in the past, and the owner had not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for an ox, and the dead shall be his own. So basically this is all talking about, is that the final? Okay, that's it, yeah. That was chapter 21. So chapter 21 was basically talking about rules of slaves and rules of animals. And I find it unique. I'm going to stop here. Yeah, this is a good place to stop because I'm also getting tired. I find it unique that even the oxen have their own rules before the eyes of the Lord. And the reason why I find that interesting is it going back to my theory that there is a God among the ox. There is a God among the birds. There is a God among the fish. And I say it that way simply because who is their kind that is being emulated when the Lord created these things in the Garden of Eden? He gave Adam the right to name those beasts, which is interesting. He didn't name those beasts. He created these beasts in image of their kind, but gave Adam the right to name those beasts. So now when we're coming full circle to the commandments, they're not set in stone yet, but he's giving these commandments, he's giving these judgments. The commandments talks about do not worship false gods. Do not create idols in the images of those that are above heaven, the firmament, below the earth, or below the waters of the earth. So those are three places where gods exist. We just don't know what gods they are. But from the Lord's perspective, we are not to serve or bow down or be a part of these three gods. But remember, there's gods above heaven. And just to be careful what you name any beast in your life. Are you talking, Coffee, are you talking about naming pets or naming animals? Or are you talking about beasts as far as the gods that I'm just curious what you mean about that. Be careful what you name any beast in your life. What scares me, and like I said, as of right now, I shouldn't say scares me. It confuses me. As of right now, based on Exodus, and we just stopped at 22. We're going to start 22 tomorrow. Heaven is only defined as the firmament as of right now. I'm waiting for that light bulb moment where heaven becomes defined as a place of your soul going to eternity. Okay? As of right now, that's not defined in the Bible yet. I say yet because maybe there is a point, and I'll wait for that point where it is defined. But right now, it's only defined as the firmament, which separates the waters above from the waters below. And right now, Exodus is saying that there are gods above heaven. Got to be careful what we name and call things. No, the power of life and death are in the tongue. That's an interesting perspective. The power of life and death are in the tongue. So I guess that also is important. Why people tell me when you pray, don't pray internally, pray externally, because the power of the tongue is important. I don't know. That's a good, interesting perspective. The power of life and death are in the tongue. Got to be careful what we name and call things. It's in okay, let me write that down. Proverbs 18:21. Okay, so we're going to talk about the power of the tongue, calling things. I think, if you don't mind me asking, I don't know if you heard my conversation before about intentions. That makes an interesting thing is if you verbally have intentions of something. And the reason that I was talking about intentions was in regards to yesterday, that a lot of people were offended that I got dressed up for Halloween. And I said, well, wouldn't it matter what my intentions is? If I'm not promoting evil, if I'm not intending something to be evil, would it necessarily make it evil? And I gave the example of, I gave a interesting example. I'm not going to talk about it again, but I gave an example in regards to a symbol of how before a certain point, it was a symbol of luck, of positive nature, of protection, which is now, because of a world war, that symbol became the sign of hatred, ostracization, condemning an entire group of people. And the only reason I mention it is because we have a building here that was erected before the war where that symbol is carved into the stone of the building's facade, of the outside building. And I never knew it until I visited the building and staring, and I'm like, wow. And the reason that they didn't cover it up or erase history is because that building was made by Native Americans, and that particular symbol was important to their culture. That's why they left it on the building. Whereas nowadays, if you look at that symbol, it has a totally different meaning. Attention may be, yet doors can be opened not knowing. I say that if you say God can get his thoughts to you, you should do it. I say that to say that God can get his thoughts to you on how should do directly. I always did thoughts, my conversations would always be internal. Now I'm starting to do it external. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing. I don't know if that's going to be a bad thing, but we'll see. But as of right now, we're still on Exodus. So we're going to start Exodus 22 tomorrow, which happens to be Sunday. Chris is gonna be. Oh, he's already out cold. He already fell asleep on the chair. He's so. I have to admit, Chris is adorable because we have a recliner chair, and he says there's something about this chair that as soon as I sit down on it, he instantly falls asleep, and it's true. He does. I'm gonna wake him up in a little bit because he's gonna do more of his work. But I want to thank everybody for coming. I will be back on tomorrow. Thank you so much for your comments, your thoughts, Coffee. I really appreciate you being with me today. So until tomorrow, guys, have a great day. Stay positive. Keep smiling. And I'll see you tomorrow.